Hi, welcome to Sheepish, episode 45. Today is Sunday, August 17th, 2014, and I'm Holly. So, how is everybody this week? I hope you guys have had a great week. I've had a busy week, but I've gotten a lot of stuff done, so that makes me happy. Um, so a couple of things that I want to just touch on before we get started. The lighting is a little darker today, and that's because it's a really gray, overcast day here in the DC area, or at least it is in my part of the DC area. And I have a lamp here that I used last week because we were having some of the same conditions, but this week it just seems to be blowing me out. So sorry about the lighting in advance. Also, you guys are awesome for not saying anything about the camera and the jumping and everything. Hopefully we won't have that this week. It's still the same camera, but it's temperamental, so we may. I apologize in advance. So let's go ahead and get started with what's happening Chez Sheepish. I want to remind everybody that I do have a sale on my Allons-y pattern going on the Ravelry store. Just type in the code Capaldi, Capaldi with a capital C, and you'll get 20% off of that pattern until 11:59 p.m. This Saturday, for reasons that it is the premiere date of season 8. Yeah, I'm a little excited. Also, I got a message on Instagram from Knitting Black Belt. She's Knitting Black Belt on Ravelry, and a designer on Ravelry as well. And she has a blog called Little Fire Knits, which is littlefireknits.blogspot.com. And she's holding a KAL on her blog, and it is a Doctor Who KAL. So really, I'm pulling it up right now. So really, it's for any Doctor Who fan who is a fan and a knitter. So the project just needs to be Doctor Who inspired. It could be a pattern or colors. Post your progress on Instagram under the hashtag Doctor Who Cal, so DRWHO Cal. And follow her on Instagram as Knitting Black Belt. And everybody can then follow along. The KAL starts at the beginning of the season, so on the 23rd, or anytime after that, and it must be finished within season 8. And she actually's been offering up, or like going through and finding all sorts of Doctor Who patterns and putting them up on Instagram, which is really nice. And she contacted me because I have the Allons-y pattern. So Lorinda, thank you for that. And yeah. So I'm really happy about that, and I am hopefully going to be participating. I meant to rip out the one sock, but yeah, I can't do that. So yeah, that's what's going on. Also, don't forget we are in the last month of the of our craft along, our summer craft along, or winter if you are in the southern hemisphere. So remember to post your projects to that. I will be drawing for that prize in September. And I'm thinking that I probably will just go ahead and let this go to Labor Day because it's September 1st. So when I record in September, I will be pulling for that prize winner. So don't forget to get your submissions in then. So let's go ahead and get started with what's on the current roster. So currently, I have got my July vanilla socks. So these are in the Into the World Gloucester sock in the Mercy Hardigan colorway. And Mercy Hardigan is a Doctor Who character, so it counts for me. These are what I've been working on. These are my car knitting, my purse knitting. These are probably what I will be working on Saturday when the new season starts up again. So, yeah, I have made some progress. When you last saw them, they were about here. I really need to just start putting in locking stitch markers so I know. So, I've gotten a bit done. Again, it's only been when I've had some time. They went with me into the office the last couple of days. They went with me to the shop for my class yesterday, so I worked on them before class. And the yarn is beautiful. It's wonderful to work with. It's really kind of squishy, which makes me happy. And I'm knitting these. I don't know if I actually ever said what the needles were. These are a pair of Addie's sock rockets. I went to one of the local yarn stores that carries Addie's a few weeks ago and picked up a set of sock rockets in US 1.5s and US 1s. So 2.25 and 2.5 millimeter. And these are the 2.5 millimeter needles. I like them. I mean, I don't know if they're worth the price. I think I still like, for socks, the Hiya Sharps better. They're lighter weight because these are, I mean, they're 1.5s. So they're not super heavy, but they definitely are heavier than those. Yeah, I could take them or leave them. And this is coming from somebody who for the longest time only ever knit with Addie's. I do like how pointy they are. I like the fact that, yes, they are a nickel. Are you going to focus? No. So you can see the points. I like the fact that they're nickel, they're nickel plated brass, basically. But I don't get that funny smell. Like with the lace needles, my chemistry generally tends to make those just smell weird. So there are those. I'm making some good progress. That's still the first sock. I've been trying it on. It's a little short in the foot. It honestly is. I just really wanted to get to the heel when I did. So I'm not frogging. I'm sucking that up. But I'm trying to figure out how long I want the sock. I've got plenty to make a longer sock. Right now, it's a 4.5 inch leg, which on me is actually a little shorter because then there's something in there that's making it. So I need to knit an inch to 1.5 inches more on there. 2 inches maybe. And then I'll knit the cuff, and then I can be done with that first sock and I can go to the second sock. Yay. Which brings us to sock number 2, which is the Hermione's Everyday Socks in my CJ Knits 12th Doctor colorway in her sock base. I meant to rip this out once I talked to Black Horse. Yeah. Once I talked to Lorinda, I meant to rip this out. And I only had a couple of rounds on there. And then decided I didn't want to. I kept knitting just like a couple of rounds here and there. I'd sit down and it would be what was near me. Like I couldn't deal with any more stockinette and I needed to do some purling. So I knit those. I'm only halfway through the ribbing. I've got a ways to go. So and depending on how into the pattern I am, I might be knitting these during the premiere, but doubtful. I'm probably going to want to have just plain vanilla. So there's that. And my snapshots from Main Blanket, which will be taking a rest in a little bit. Now I'm going to talk about that in the scouting report. But I decided to take, I believe this is my March yarn. So this is Highland Handmaid's Black Ash Worsted, which is a 60 merino, 40 bamboo in the bean green colorway. And it's coming out much bluer on my monitor than it is. It's definitely more green, or actually it's kind of coming out like a slate teal. Yeah, it's actually much greener. And it's soft and it's lovely, and as you can tell, it's in a hand wound ball because I wanted to work on something last night that wasn't the sock. The July sock's been hurting my hands, or it did yesterday, I should say. It probably isn't going to today. Who knows? But yeah, so I hand wound that because I wanted to just knock out another square, and I knocked out the majority of it. So this is, sorry for all the clinking, the center of the square in the bean green. So I just need to knit the border on this and I'll be done with this square. And this literally took me just under an hour and a half. I think I've been binge watching some TV that I have. So I've been binge watching Gavin and Stacey over the last few. And if you don't know that show, oh my God, I love that show. So I think this was like 3 episodes, not even a full 3 episodes of Gavin and Stacey. And it probably would have cut into a 4th if I had started the border, but I needed to grab my stitch markers and they weren't upstairs with me. So there is that. So I believe that's all that's on the needles right now. Which brings me to the alumni roster. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw these. You already saw these. Boom. Collywobbles. Yay. So these are the Collywobble socks. The pattern is by Emily Estrada, who hosts the Fibertown podcast. The yarn is Sugar Maple Sock in the Though She Be But Little colorway from Highland Handmaids. And I knit these on my typical magic loop. So on my Chiagu red lace needles, again in a 1.5. So 2.5 millimeters. And I love them. I love how they turned out. I can easily tell which is the first and which is the second sock because of the heel. And it's not really apparent there. It is a little bit more there. So this heel is my standard knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one. This heel is the written slip one, purl one. So slip one, knit one, slip one, purl one. And then knit across where this is a purl across. It does make it a little taller for me, not by much, but a little bit. And yeah. But the sock itself was really, really easy. And when I sat down to do it fairly quick. By the probably 3/4 of the way into the first sock, I had the pattern memorized. So I only ever really had to refer to it when casting on to get started with the quilted lattice pattern. And then for the gusset. And this has a gusset on the bottom of the foot. Let's see if I can get that to show. So you can see there that you're decreasing down to the bottom. And I actually like how this how this gusset fits. I'm going to have to try and do another sock with using this gusset. Because I like it a lot. I have this much yarn left over. I probably could have made these taller. I didn't, obviously. Part of it's the fact that the lattice pattern stretches only so much. So these are really snug on my feet and my legs. And in that it just takes a little bit more effort to get them on. And not knowing that, I wasn't going to make them any taller. If I were to do these again and make them taller, I'd probably go ahead and start off with more stitches around the leg and then just decrease them out. But yeah. Like finished objects, yay! So that's pretty much it for those. So that brings me to the scouting report. And it's been a while since I've had a scouting report where I can say that it's not about the yarn. Well, it is, but that yarn's not here. The pattern. So, I've been doing the Vivid blanket as a Snapshots from Maine blanket to use up all of my yarn that I get in that. Well, one of my friends just is pregnant and is having a baby boy. And so my bestie and I are going to knit a vivid baby blanket for them. We're going to do it out of a DK weight yarn. We're going to use Knit Picks Swish DK in 10 different colors. So each of us are going to knit a block. So we've ordered our yarn separately, and then she's going to send me all of the squares so I can seam it up. And yeah, so I'm going to get started on that as soon as the yarn comes from Knit Picks. Those will be knit on US 7s for me and US 6s for her because she's a looser knitter than I am. And so the Snapshots from Maine blanket's going to go on the back burner until that vivid blanket, the baby one, is done. We figure that 20 squares, the DK gauge, will give us a blanket that he'll be able to use into his toddler, like on a toddler bed when he gets that big. Because hopefully we'll be able to get this done in the next few months. Because we're crazy. I also started thinking about the fact that I need to get a few sweaters off the needles and decide what I'm also going to cast on because I obviously need to knit a sweater. Finish a sweater, but also knit a sweater for the Highlands on the Fly retreat in Maine in October. So yeah, I need to start looking through my patterns for that. Michelle and I were talking, and she was saying that maybe having another knit along once this one is done, and knitting patterns that you keep meaning to knit that are in your library. I don't know. We haven't talked. I mean, I haven't thought about that. We haven't talked about it anymore since she brought that up. But I'm all about the let's try and get sweaters done. So yeah. Which, wow, this is going quickly because we're already up to the what's making me happy this week. That is quick. What's making me happy this week? Do I really need to? Yeah. 6 days. 6 days to Doctor Who. The season 8 starts. I am so excited. I cannot wait. I have actually remained pretty spoiler free. That's been a big thing for me, and I'm not somebody that usually cares a whole heck of a lot about spoilers. But for some reason with this, I guess because it's a new Doctor and everything, I don't want to be spoiled. A few weeks ago, 2, 3, yeah, anyway, somebody leaked the scripts for the first 8 episodes and leaked, I don't know if they leaked the whole episode, the first episode online or not. I have been very good about staying away from those. I don't want to know what happens. I have seen rumors of things happening towards the end of the season. I don't want to be spoiled about it, so we'll see. Yeah, very, very excited. I am probably going to go over to Michelle's and watch. She wants to do a Doctor Who themed food night, so I'm intrigued. So we'll be crafty and everything. I will be probably either IMing or texting with my bestie during all of this. It's going to be a good night. Also, what's making me happy? The ability to just binge watch a show. Part of me thought about binge watching Doctor Who to get back. Yeah. And then realized that that would take me a lot longer than the 6 days that I have. So I thought better of it. And then I started binge watching Gavin and Stacey. So yeah. It happens. Whatever. I also got to go down, and I was teaching yesterday. I actually started up a beginning class, And I love teaching beginning knitters. I love making new knitters. And it was a small class of 3 people. By the end of the class, they all knew how to cast on, because I teach them all a long tail cast on. I don't just cast on for them and get them started. I make sure they have the ability to cast on and that they can knit by the end of the first week. I know, right? So they all were knitting away, and, you know, proud mama right here. I was just like, "Aw, you guys are great." So while I was in Old Town, Michelle had texted me to see if I would come down and visit her, because she works at a chocolatier in Old Town. And I decided to drive down. I actually started walking down there, and I was like, no, screw this. I need to go back to the car and drive, because when I left the house yesterday morning, it wasn't all that hot. By the time I got done with my class, it was hot. It was hot, and I was sweaty and lazy, so I went back to the car and drove over, which is a good thing because I had no clue where the shop was. And now that I know, I was like, oh, okay, I know exactly where this is. So went there, and I distracted her from work for a little bit, and I got to watch how they make the truffles, which is very, very cool. And I got to meet her bosses, and I got to have lots and lots of samples. Oh my goodness. I was chocolated up by the end of it. So, you know, because they were so good to me, and plus the chocolate is just fantastic. If you are in need of chocolate, if you are in the Old Town area, you can actually go and see, because their kitchen or their store opens up into their kitchen. But they do online orders, I believe. Yeah. The chocolate's phenomenal. It's all, oh. They gave me toffee, and when one of her bosses realized, or when I was fairly loud about my favorite truffle, because they do a wattle seed, I think it is, truffle. Wattle seed chocolate, which has like toffee and stuff mixed in, and he broke off a piece of the toffee and was like, here, here, have this. Yeah. Nom. So if you need chocolates, Fleurir, they're awesome. The chocolates are phenomenal, and you might get something that Michelle made. She's helping them come up with a brownie mix recipe using their chocolates and a few other things. Pretty cool. All right. So I think that's about it. Just looking to see if I've missed anything, but I don't think I have. So yeah. So that's it for this week. It's a short episode. They seem like they're going quicker and shorter because I'm just kind of hitting points and just going. Anyway, as you can see, I'm actually doing a slightly different camera angle, in that I've zoomed in a little bit more so you can't see a lot of what's behind me. Which also means that I end up leaning back a little bit more. And I don't know how the microphone's picking all of that up. But also it was a way to keep the majority of the glare from the window that I sit in front of off of my glasses. And I realized that didn't work so much. But anyway, have a great week, everybody. Keep posting in the threads. And don't forget that the pattern is on sale. The Allen Z pattern is on sale. And I will see you next time. Keep knitting, stitching, spinning, and crocheting on. Bye, everybody.